Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The New Orleans Saints are embarking on, as we have sort of documented here, their most critical offseason since 2006, when they hired Sean Payton and were rebuilding post-Katrina and everything involved there. Even when Sean Payton left, remember, there was still a very stable organization with good culture and a good roster, a team that had won the division and had gone to the playoffs. And obviously they missed in 2021, but still what you were handing Dennis Allen was a very stable situation. This is anything but for the next head coach. And Derek Carr apparently is determined not to make this any easier for whoever the new head coach is. Carr met with reporters on Monday, but he also had a one-on-one with our friend Kat Terrell from ESPN. And he told Kat in no uncertain terms that he will not help the Saints with a pay cut. The quote directly is, I wouldn't, and this was a print quote, so I do not have the audio or the video. This was a one-on-one interview that Kat did with Derek Carr. Derek Carr said, quote, I wouldn't take a pay cut. Yeah, I wouldn't do that, especially with what I put on tape. Would I restructure? Absolutely. I'll always help the team that way. But there's some things that you put out there that you earned. Even in some cases, it could be even worse. But I felt confident when I signed it that this would give the team the best flexibility at the time. But there's always kind of respect as a quarterback. You're like, well, still, we're in that respectful lane. We're good. Build the team. But yeah, I wouldn't take anything less to do this. It's hard enough putting our bodies through it, and you're trying to get everything you can for your family for it. Okay, so that's the quote from Derek Carr. He will not take a pay cut. So this is why this is important. By the way, I don't fault Derek Carr. Now, I believe that contract should be given as a projection, not as what you've done. There's a little bit of a happy medium, but sort of infamously, late in his career, the Lakers paid the late Kobe Bryant an absurd amount of money that was nowhere near his, at the time, competency, but it was the means of keeping him a Laker for the rest of his career. And sometimes organizations make the decision to do that. That doesn't really happen as much in the NFL. That's why you see great players like J.J. Watt finish his career with the Cardinals, or Joe Montana finish his career with the Chiefs, or Jerry Rice wear a Seahawks uniform. It just happens as guys want to continue play. Maybe they ring chase. But I hated the contract they gave Derek Carr when they did it. I hated the restructure this past offseason. And my point at the time ended up being prophetic, which was you restructured Derek Carr last season, and in so doing, you financially bound yourself to Derek Carr for 2 more seasons after 2024. And I hated the decision because my point today about Derek Carr is the same point I made the day they signed him, which is he is a low, middle tier, upper, bottom tier starting quarterback in the NFL. It's literally the thing I've told you now from the day he signed with the New Orleans Saints. He is Andy Dalton. You can roll your eyes at that, but we broke down the numbers 2 years ago. It's what he is. A guy was drafted by a team to be their franchise. He started for a long time. Their stats are almost identical. The team that made him their franchise decided we've gone as far as we can with you. They moved on, and Andy Dalton jumped. He's been with a different team every year since, and Derek Carr effectively would be the same, but for the fact that the Saints gave him $150 million. And restructuring last year was stupid, and now you're in a really tough spot because you have a veteran quarterback who has underperformed his contract, who has now been injured, who is not going to be any better next year amid a rebuild with a new coach, and you're up a creek. The great thing would be if Derek Carr agreed to take less so you could help reset your cap situation. It doesn't hurt to ask, to shoot your shot, but he's not going to do it. I don't necessarily say that I blame him. The Saints contractually owe him this money. It's not his fault. They did a terrible deal. That's why Mickey Loomis is an awful general manager. I don't even know that there is an argument to the contrary at this point. The larger the sample size grows, the more the championship in 2009 in that window before Bountygate looks like the outlier. It looks like the exception, not the rule. I mean, hell, the Saints have even drafted pretty well at times. Do you notice that Caden Ellis and Zach Bond tied for the 6th most tackles in the NFL this year? That's 2 guys you drafted that are now playing for other teams. Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in sacks. You drafted him, he's playing for another team. Like, because of your incompetence, your inability to manage your roster and your salary cap. That's why the Saints are what they are. And Derek Carr is he's the crown jewel of that, because you sunk $150 million into a bad quarterback, and you made it even worse by restructuring him last year when you should have just understood what you were and what he was. So now here you go again, and you have a decision to make. And really, your decision about what to do with Derek Carr, you have 2 choices. Because whether Mickey Loomis and the Saints organization, the brass, want to acknowledge it or not, a rebuild is coming. Either accepted or forced, it is coming. Like, a bottoming out for this organization is coming. And the question is, do you want to cannonball into the deep end of the rebuild, or do you want to wade into a zero entry pool of the rebuild? Like, sometimes it's easier. Like, I cold plunge every morning. I've told you this. I don't mean to bore you with this, but I love it. It's awesome. But there ain't no easy way at 5:25 in the morning to get into a cold plunge. You know what I mean? Like, you don't dip your toe. You just get in it. Get in it, take some deep breaths, and then let it absorb your body, and you settle in. And you get through it. Like, that's my opinion of where the Saints are right now with Derek Carr. So you got 2 options. One is you cut his cap number. Derek Carr's cap number for 2025 is $51 million. If you cut him and post him and designate him as a post-June 1 release, his cap number would drop to $11 million this year and then $28 million in dead money next year. So the problem is you're kicking the can down the road. But you get rid of Derek Carr, you get a new quarterback with a new coach, and you get cap relief this year when you're $78 million over the cap. Or you keep Derek Carr, and he counts $50 million against your cap next year, and it'll be his last year in New Orleans. And then your new coach will have a lame duck quarterback who will be gone after next year, and you figure it out from there. Do you draft your quarterback next year? Is it Spencer Rattler? Do you let Rattler grow? Do you draft a quarterback this year? There's all these different types of questions that you'd have to answer. But my preference, this is easy for me. Cut Derek Carr right now. Well, not today, but cut him before the start of the league year. Designate him as a post-June 1st release. Reduce that cap number to $11 million this year. Yes, it's $28 million next year, but this year I'm getting rid of all the expensive veterans. And I'm going to have a roster full of undrafted free agent rookies, and we are going to suck to holy hell and back. That's what I'm doing. And that sucks, and it sucks to acknowledge, but that's your reality because you're not winning anything. So you bring Derek Carr back, you win 9 games, 8 games, 7 games, whatever. You're drafted in the middle of round 1 again, and where are you? Now you're moving on from Derek Carr. Your cap situation still stinks. You got a new coach, now with a new quarterback, and a pick somewhere in the middle of round 1. Where are you? You're nowhere. Cannonball into the deep end. Cut Derek Carr, take the big savings this year. Yes, you'll have a big cap number next year. Bring in your new coach. Let your coach pick his quarterback. Maybe it's Rattler. Maybe you find a 1-year stopgap. Go sign Daniel Jones for a year. I don't care. You're going to suck either way. And then next year, and you're going to suck so bad that you're picking in the top 5 of the 2026 draft, a draft that will have, by the way, likely Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, maybe Nico's in that draft, perhaps Lenora Sellers if he improves. I mean, Jackson Arnold, we'll see what he does. Drew Aller from Penn State will be in next year's draft. You'll have a much better draft class in 2026, and you'll be picking at the top of that draft. So 2025, that's going to suck, y'all. There's no way around it. But are you going to suck but not be the worst with Derek Carr? Or you're going to get rid of Derek Carr, suck all the way, like suck hard, but get a top-tier pick, get your franchise quarterback in the 2026 draft, and then start building from there. That's my preference. But then again, I ain't the guy who smacks on gum and preaches to everybody about how a terrible quarterback with one of the worst winning percentages of all time is comparable to Chuck Noll. Can't wait to see what Mickey does with this one. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.